Hello and welcome everyone to the Difference Maker Show. I'm Lynn Sanders, your host, and I am so glad you're here today. Lately, talk has been circulating all over the world about one thing: health. How do we stay healthy? Can we do to heal? What can we do to protect ourselves from viruses? Well, to answer your question today, I'm honored and delighted to have a health expert with us, Dr. Jill Briska. Dr. Jill is a doctor who understands how to have total health. Health is more than just what we see physically. It's a combination of several factors that you're going to learn about today. Her philosophy relies on a triad of health, and her focus is to allow your body to heal naturally. So without further ado, welcome Jill Briska. Thank you for coming.
Hi, Lynn. Glad to be here.
I am so glad you're here. We need people like you to keep us healthy. So tell us a little bit of your story. How did you get to where you are right now?
Well, over my lifetime, I have had or dealt with struggles that are structural, chemical, and also emotional issues. It started back when I was 18 and my father committed suicide. He was mentally ill. And then at 25, I had a car accident where I went projectile through a car window and landed on the road. And I had well over a decade of chronic pain after that. And then later I had a very difficult marriage and equally, if not worse, more difficult divorce process. And then most recently, I had a 4-year battle with a mystery illness that I could not figure out what was wrong or what was going on with me, but it left me virtually at death's door and without any answers at all. So it's been a lifetime of struggles that have led me to what I do now.
Sounds like you went through everything: physical, emotional, mental, you could imagine.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
how did you eventually heal?
So eventually, in that search to try to figure out, especially with the mystery illness, it was a long journey. But down the path came energy medicine, and science is proving to us that everything is energy. Even on the cellular level, that's how the cells, it's how the cells communicate to each other, is through vibration and frequency. And so the idea or the philosophy that I have taken in on this is what you think, you feel, and what you feel, you vibrate, and what you vibrate, you create.
Wow.
So, So, at 51, I am healthier now than I have ever been before in my life.
Would you say that again? I think everyone needs to hear that one more time. What you think, you feel.
And what you feel, you vibrate. And what you vibrate, you create. So it all starts with the thinking.
So what do people do to think in a healthy way? How do you create a natural, healthy state for all of us? How can we do that for ourselves?
Well, starting with the thinking is to understand that we are conscious and subconscious beings, and we're mostly subconscious. So like 90% of us, of how we think, is your subconscious mind. So it's a really good thing to do is to get in touch with how to communicate with that subconscious mind. And also, obviously, positive thinking will get you far too. But the way I address things is called a triad of health. And that is, if you can imagine a triangle, okay? Mm-hmm. So you have one side that's structural, one side that is chemical, and then the bottom is emotional. And these are all equally sided. One side is not more important than the other. But I will say that I put emotional as the foundation because it is the unsung hero of health. And it's really, unfortunately, kind of overlooked or minimized in our culture.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Tell us more about why energy, that foundation, is so important. Because I don't think most people even realize it.
No. Well, I certainly didn't. I mean, I'm a chiropractor, so that's that's alternative thinking. But I mean, even I was like, oh, energy stuff, it's kind of a little too, it's a bit woo woo.
Right.
But the more that I understood it, and I had the, the opportunity to get sick. And so it really broadened what I was willing to do, to heal. And so when I learned about energy medicine, it just started to make so much more sense that, that cellular level, that, before a hormone is excreted or blood pressure goes up or down, the cells are communicating with each other via frequency and vibration. And so if there's a decrease in that signaling and that communication, eventually there's going to be problems with health. And that could be in any aspect. It could be structural, chemical, or emotional.
So did you discover this in your own journey to healing, Dr. Jill?
The Triad of Health?
Yes.
So the Triad of Health is based on something that what I took was something called applied kinesiology. And it's not, there's many lines of thinking that will do a 5-pillar or a star or a circle or whatever. But for me, this triangle was very simple, and it was very clear how it can reflect health. But the way I see it is chemical, or the structural, and the chemical and the emotional is health. But the missing piece is really the energy part of it, which just brings it from this is health to ultimate health, because it's something that I think it's a growing trend to look at those things, but it just potentiates and is like it's synergistic when you add that energetic piece.
So how do you add energy health to a person's health plan? What do you do? Tell us how you can help people.
Well, one thing is just to become aware of it and maybe start understanding that, like, even the chair that I'm sitting on right now is not solid. It is vibration. These pieces of matter are just vibrating to hold something together. Okay. And that is true for not only this chair or the lamp, anything that we see, but it's also true for ourselves, that we are more than the sum of our parts. So energetically, how do we communicate with ourselves? And like I spoke about the subconscious, a lot of times we want to talk to the subconscious, and a good way to do that is through the brain waves, and there's several of them. But when you fall asleep at night or you wake up in the morning, there's a window called theta waves, and you can talk to the body that way. Also, so like if thinking your positive thoughts and your meditations and things like that are good ways to talk to your body.
Right.
But it's repetitive stuff. And so what I do with the energy medicine is really talking, it covers all those levels, or all the brain waves, because it's constantly on you. It's a 2-week treatment where the balancing frequencies of where it's found to be decreased in your body is worn on your body. This downloaded frequencies are put on a card and put on your body, so you have it all the time. So it talks to you in all the different brain waves and is slowly and gently balancing where there's a decrease.
Wow. I think people are slowly starting to be aware of this, but not everyone is. Like you just mentioned, you think certain thoughts that affect your body. And so you have to be really careful with what you think. You have to choose carefully because it will affect us physically. And you mentioned a card, which is also kind of an interesting component, because I had never heard of it until I spoke with you. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And also tell us about the words that you use on your website, our Kintsugi Wellness. So what do those words mean? And do they relate to this card that helps people with their health?
Well, the card I discovered, as I was going through my journey, and energy medicine came down I discovered it, and I knew that this was something that I wanted to do because it made changes. I was down to 3 to 5 foods, and my face would swell and my hair was breaking off. And so I was inspired to find something to help me.
Right.
I was very, very weak and malnourished. So when I found what I'm doing now, I knew that it was a fit because there was finally changes in what I was doing. And now I'm able to eat what I want. My hair has come back and I recognize myself again now that when I look in the mirror. But the reason that I picked Kintsugi as my name for my practice is because I'm not unusual. That was just my journey, but we all have a journey, which Kintsugi is the art. It's the Japanese art of mending broken pottery with gold. And so when we go through something, we can mend ourselves with these lessons and these experiences that put us back together, and we never break the same way again. But what the philosophy is that we embrace that brokenness that we have repaired with, something so priceless as an experience. And so it's all of us. I think it just reflected so strong, so well, why we're here on this planet, what happens to us. And it starts to get real fuzzy whether a experience ends up being something good or bad. Of course, when I was going through my journey and was very sick, I wasn't like, hooray. But now that it's over, it was like it opened a whole new world to me. I'm transformed in so many ways because I was open to learning and changing the way I see things.
Wow. So you were open to healing in a new way because you needed to heal desperately. And you
Yes.
found energy medicine, would you say, was part of that journey?
Yes, 100%.
Wow.
Well, and energy medicine is what I love about it. It's a big umbrella. So there's a lot of things that are under that category. But I think the main, a big message that comes along with energy medicine is that you are pivotal to your health. Like it's telling you you're not a victim here, and it's you that will transform your life and your health once you understand your own personal power and how you create your health and and that can be used, that think, feel, vibrate, and create can be in any aspect of your life, not just, like I had food allergies. Okay. That is what started me with energy medicine, but it can be in your career. It can be in your personal relationships, and it can be in your health. So
Wow.
that's the really cool stuff about this energy medicine.
It's really fascinating. I wanted also to bring up something you had mentioned before our interview, that the items behind you are representative of Kintsugi Wellness. Can you just tell us a little bit about that? Because they're beautiful.
Well, thank you. And some of them are pristine condition, and then other ones have chips and cracks and things like that. And so then you can just kind of smooth those edges out, or if it's completely broken, you glue it back together like this. But the philosophy is to not be ashamed of those things. And sometimes those scars are visual, like you can see them from the outside, like if somebody's had to have surgery, or like I have a bar and pins in my clavicle from the car accident that I was in. Or sometimes there are emotional things that when through your journey you've repaired and gotten to the muck and mud and really looked at what was the message or what was there to take home from this experience. And it just makes you it just enriches your life. It builds character, and you're just more value. It's like the philosophy is you're more valuable, because
Yes.
you've learned these important.
You've gone through the experience, gone through the fire. They say, a diamond is a piece of coal under pressure. You become a diamond through going through that.
Yes, I love those analogies like that.
Yeah. Also, I really admire the fact that you look at the whole health of people. And I'm wondering, how can people stay healthy? How do they get their body to balance well? What tips would you advise them to do?
Well, you're going to want to look at yourself as more than pieces, parts. You're going to want to see how does one aspect of your life affect the other aspects of your life. So, with the triad of health, say there's a problem emotionally, and you're not addressing it. There'll be signs, there'll be warnings, and hey, take a look at this. But if it isn't heard on this end, it may show up here. It may show up on the chemical side where you get food allergies. It may show up on this side where you have, headaches. And so that is where you're going to want to become more aware of what you're feeling. And like pain sometimes isn't just pain. Like I had chronic low back pain from my car accident. And it was, there's someone called Louise Hay, and she talks about on what level does this symptom mean on another level, an emotional level. What is it saying to your body? And low back pain ends up being being like your foundation. Exactly. You're concerned about your safety, your foundation. So it says more, and when it becomes chronic, like if you have a slip and fall, yes, you are going to have, an injury or whatever. But if it doesn't go away, maybe there's something else that you need to, or shows up and you have no rhyme or reason for it. Take a look at it on some other levels and see if it isn't telling you something else.
That's great. You said it earlier to me that you're developing something new for people that they can do at home. I'd like you to share what your new plans are to keep people healthy.
So thanks to COVID, I have been home, and I've been thinking, I have these, I went remote at the beginning of the year, believe it or not, before this happened with my treatments. So I was at home, and I'm like, well, I have these other things that I was doing. I'm like, what can I do with them? And I started thinking about using the energy medicine as a home system. And so I decided to start working with addictions. And so this is something that I'm putting together. Hopefully it'll be done within the next month or so. But it's something that you can purchase the system and do it at home. And you're picking from, I have for food addiction, smoking, opiate, gambling, pornography, because everything has a vibration. Your emotions have a vibration, and chemicals have a vibration. And so when it comes to addiction, there's so many similarities. It's neurological pathways, there's certain neurotransmitters, there's organs that are involved. So I have, the system is very flexible to deal with different addictions, but it's focused. Each one has like a little component that focuses on what your specific energetic decrease or imbalance is with that particular issue. And then it can be reused. So say somebody has a alcohol issue, okay, and then they do this, and then they decide later that they would like to get rid of their smoking habit also. Then they can just order the additional component and reuse that system. I'm very frugal. I realized over the years, I was a student for such a long time that I'm always like, that's a ripoff. If you have to buy a new system every time, and then it's just going to sit in the closet, So right. I always mindful of the fact that I want to have things to be reused and it's not a one-trick pony.
This is so important, Dr. Jill, because right now people don't want to go into hospitals. People don't want to go outside of even of their homes. And so what you're giving people is a solution, and it's a solution that addresses the root cause, which we haven't even mentioned the point of root cause, which is what you're doing. You're looking at a whole health. So if you are concerned about any aspect of health, I would say take a look at what you're offering, because you can help them really understand the underlying cause of it.
Yeah. And what I love about energy medicine is also there's not a lot of contraindications to working hand in hand with another practitioner's protocols. Like if you're happy with your doctor, I am, this is something that does not interfere. You can continue, like if you're depressed and you're on antidepressants, or if you're on whatever your medication is and you want to stay on that. This doesn't say there's contraindications to that. I'm also not a big advocate of making sure that you have to take a ton of supplements. With the biocybernetic medicine that I do, the card is the treatment. You can be doing other things. Hopefully you're eating a very healthy diet, and I'm happy to guide you and give you some tips and things like that. But hopefully, you are overall doing having a healthy lifestyle. But this can be implemented whether you're under another doctor's care or you're really happy with your own chiropractor. I think there should be more this than that.
Right.
Let's work together.
Is that what, you mentioned the word biocybernetic. Could you explain that just so we all understand what you're referring to? Is that what
Yeah, it's, well, the modality that I use is something called CyberScan, but the overall, it's called biocybernetic medicine. And that's just I guess the fancier term for it, or is it as a whole.
Okay.
So, because it's more than just getting the scan. Like when somebody sends me a sample, and that's how it works, you come, you can send me a hair sample, which is ideal, or if you don't have hair, you can send in a saliva sample. And then I scan that, and then a report comes out, and I decipher that, and it's objective as opposed to subjective. It's not my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing that I loved about it, is that if you go to different practitioners, there's going to be different answers. They're going to have an opinion of, well, I think it's this, or I think it's that. This looks at 140,000 different things and narrows it down to what are the big things that are decreased. Let's address those first. And then if you address the big stuff, then secondary and tertiary things tend to fall away. But the treatment itself is the card that's downloaded with the balancing frequencies. So it's real gentle over 2 weeks, where it's like tuning a radio. But the great thing about that is that's it. I mean, you don't have to buy a whole bunch of supplements. You don't have to come back in for treatments. I mean, like, I suggest a series of like 3, because then if this is something for you. But you don't have to buy special food. There's no special drinks. It's just maybe 3 major contraindications. And one is you can't be on chemotherapy. Okay. One is you'd want to drink decaf coffee if you are a coffee drinker. So avoid caffeine. And then the last one is cannabis, specifically the THC. You would not want to be doing that. That changes frequencies too. So the CBD oil is fine.
Yeah, I'm sure all this is on your website, correct?
Yes.
So let's go over the website where everyone can find this information. This is really valuable. Jill has really been condensing a lot of information in a short time for all of you to understand whole health and how it can benefit each of us. The website, Kintsugi Wellness, right? -wellness, www.KINTSUGI-wellness.com. Is that correct?
That's right.
And you have a gift that you're giving everyone at this
yes.
time, if you are ready for it. Could you tell us
So
about
So today we talked about the Triad of Health. And so I came up with a Triad of Health assessment. So if you go to my website on the homepage, there is a Triad of Health assessment that will kind of give you a picture of where do you fall? Is your Triad balanced? And so it's interesting. And then there's a whole bunch of other things on there. There's more about my story, my training. There's also, a little bit about, I wrote a book, and so hopefully that'll be getting out soon. So there's a couple chapters of that on there if you'd like to, take a look at that.
That's going to be a very interesting book to read too, I'm sure. It'd be great.
Yeah, I love making it in layman's terms. I besides being frugal, I am also lazy. And so I like bit bite-sized pieces. I don't like big chapters. I'd like to give a thought, put it in layman's terms, and then you can just kind of pick it up and read it, and there's no guilt. I'm very anti-guilt. It's a low-frequency emotion.
Well, we all like to read in bite-sized pieces. It makes it easier to process. So
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much. This has been really fascinating. I recommend everyone, if you're thinking about health in any way, which I'm sure everyone is, to check out Dr. Jill Briska at kintsugi-wellness.com and take that free assessment, and you'll be on your road, I would say, of getting better health, better balance, and feeling great. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Jill. It was great having you here.
Thank you, Lynn, for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, my pleasure. So anyway, everyone stay healthy, take care, and check out kintsugi-wellness.com. You'll be glad you did. Thank you again.